The famous clip where he takes the bite of steak and he says, ignorance is bliss. This taste, the steak is so good. Screw reality. Screw the red pill. I said that for a while. I remember always saying that. And I'm here to tell you that is no way to live this life. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is not bliss at all. Ignorance is for losers. It is. And I was a loser for thinking that way. Because think about it, man. Ignorance, anything you ignore is going to go to shit. Okay? If you want it to go to shit, ignore it. You ignore your health. If I ignore my heart, I wouldn't be having this video. I'm Pacemaker J for a reason. So that concerns me. I see a lot of young people, especially the men. I think about the men because I'm a guy, obviously. So I think about the men. Because if you're not the best man you can be, we can't take care of the women and children. We can't take care of the elderly. If you can't take care of yourself, if you're a guy of decent age, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you can't walk because whatever, you got a bad knee, you got to figure things out. You got to strengthen up. You can't ignore things. You just can't. Because it'll come to bite you in the ass and it'll own you. So ignorance is bliss, right? The health, if you ignore your health, obviously you're going to go to shit. If you ignore that pain in your chest, you may have a heart attack. If you ignore that bad knee's going to get worse. If you tend to it and you do things, it'll get better. Come on, we know this stuff, guys. When I say ignorance is bliss, I had a great Easter yesterday, and we celebrated my birthday. I'm turning 46 tomorrow. Oh my God. But anyways, this isn't about me here. This is about, adapting. You don't have to ignore, but at the same time, they had the Pope on TV yesterday. And I come from a Catholic family. I'm a recovering Catholic. So, my mom, my sister, they're all still into the Pope was on TV and he didn't look like he was doing well and blah, blah, blah. Right away, I usually start with the stuff or the moment. I didn't want to have a battle yesterday. And my girlfriend even said, she goes, don't say nothing, just be nice. And I did. I bit my tongue. I let the news segment end. I didn't say any wisecracks, and I'm proud of myself. So you could not ignore things and still ignore it, just to make the peace. Because you're not going to change people's minds by making smart cracks about your opinion. Trust me, I've tried. It does not work. But at the same time, it was just driving me nuts. Don't be afraid to question. Don't be afraid to push back. If you feel a different way, none of us should be afraid to speak our feelings, as long as it's respectful. As long as it's respectful. But the moment you say something that someone doesn't like the Catholic Church was created to control not just Catholics, but society. When you start looking into the origins of things and you start to realize, and wow, now I get why the things are the way they are. It doesn't work the way it works for you and me. It works the way it works because it works for them. It's working. This society for them is working perfectly. For the ones who control it, for the ones who have always controlled it, for the ones who did the reset, a couple hundred years ago, it's still a mystery. The fact that we have to walk by these buildings and enter these buildings every day, that we know damn well are older than 200 years or 120 years, and we know damn well they took more than 2 years to build. And just because of money, we don't build these things, and cost effectiveness is the reason we don't build anymore. We don't build anymore the way that we used to with cathedrals and these big, beautiful monuments because we can't. So for me, that's been my whole recent thing. I can't ignore our bullshit history timeline and the crap that they've taught us, and in these textbooks in 8th grade and before that, and the bullshit stories of Columbus and all this. This is all garbage. So I can't ignore that, and I don't think you should. I think it should be incumbent for us to get together and talk about these things. It's not about being right or wrong, but I know damn well the timeline has given to me that they're showing us, and start doing Wikipedia searches on your own, and start maybe even in your own town, and start searching some of these old buildings, and you tell me what you find in common. But I know most of you won't, and I know most people won't, and they'll say, "Oh, Jay, you're crazy, and you spend too much time on that stuff, and you should just live your life." And you know what? Maybe they're right to a point. But I want to know why we're here. Everyone is a God-given, God-given gift. Everyone has a God-given right to know where the hell we are, or at least die trying. And let's maybe collectively come to help each other and come to a meeting, some sort of a common ground. There it is. So, don't. Ignorance is not bliss. I don't find it bliss at all. Just to ignore things. You have to let things eat you up. But definitely, ignorance is not bliss. When you ignore that bad relationship, what are you doing? Even in a relationship, you can get the hell out. Don't ignore it. Confront it and end it. Whether you're a man or a woman watching this, I don't care. If you know you're in a bad relationship, ignorance is not bliss. It's never going to be bliss. You know what I mean? Even the dirty room in your house. This studio used to be. I would just ignore it. This was a junk room. This was the cat litter box was there when you walked in. I would just jam. It used to be a spare bedroom in here. Then I would just jam guitar cases, boxes, whatever extra shit would just go in here. And I just kept ignoring it, and it got way bad. It got crazy. And it's nuts. As a musician, I had a little small room next door to me here, and I'm thinking, why don't I use this big, beautiful room for my music and for my YouTube that I spoke about for years and finally started? But that's the point. Even this, ignorance isn't bliss. I ignored doing this channel for probably 5 years, maybe more, give or take. Probably since COVID. So yeah, what was my excuse? Ignorance is not bliss because now I'm 46, 45 starting this, and instead of 40, maybe it could have been 38. Don't ignore things, even if it's one little thing. You say, well, how can I not ignore my health anymore? Eat great tomorrow and start doing push-ups. Do something. Go for a walk. There's lots of things you can do. Ignorance is definitely not bliss. In fact, it's the opposite of bliss. Those statements are perpetrated in these movies and in these things to kind of... Don't forget, the Matrix isn't only for the people that are red-pilled. I hate saying that. But they're for the blue-pill people, too. Because then they could say, see, it's all bullshit. I'd rather... You know what? Even if... I've had so many discussions where I try to have an intelligent conversation about history. And people just don't want to ignore it because it scares them. So we're just going to ignore it? We're just going to walk by the beautiful churches and the beautiful buildings downtown and just say, we're just going to ignore the fact that we have all this poverty in the country and we could fix it overnight. We have the money to fix it overnight. Now, granted, some people are not going to use the resources. We understand. There's drug addicts and all this other stuff. But still, wouldn't it be better to try going that route than just ignoring it? Wouldn't you rather misplace a few grand to somebody who blows it on drugs, but in that same tens of millions of dollars that families are getting their lives changed, people are getting off of drugs maybe because they got some real help, not a few $100 a month or here's a handout, here's a soup kitchen. No, I'm talking like distribution of major funds. Could you imagine the things we can do? There should be no poverty. And I believe we had a society long ago where you see these beautiful buildings that are still left behind. I mean, we're all squatters. We didn't build any of this shit, except for the garbage and the plaster and the drywall. But those buildings that have been here for hundreds and thousands of years, we didn't build that shit. We took it over. We founded it, right? That Vatican, that was taken over by force. And then I found it interesting this morning when the Pope passed away. So I'll leave you with that. Do not ignore things. Ask questions. Just don't be a jerk about it, okay? You don't got to be an asshole about it. And I sometimes do come across a little heavy-handed, and I'm using my discretion in where I speak. But don't be afraid to speak up. And if you test the waters and you can tell it's kind of going south, just change the subject and don't get bent about it. It's not your fault, and it's not even their fault. We've all been brainwashed since we've been born. So if you're lucky enough to not be ignorant and ask questions and watch Pacemaker Jay, that's all I ask of you. Ask questions and don't ignore things. You got the courage, you got the goods, you can do whatever, you can do anything. You can do anything. All right, that's all I have for today. Sorry it's been a minute. I will return. Thank you.